I
That's
think
tough.
anyone who started in this 2020 market and didn't make much, I think that really helped me control my FOMO because it's just like it was kind of just like repetition and getting numb to the fact that there's gonna be spikers all the time. You're gonna miss so many of them, and I missed 99% of them during 2020 to 2021. So seeing that FOMO is like now it's kind of like I missed it. There's gonna be another one. So
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Twist. It's been, how long has it been, Matt? Like 3, 4 weeks since we've done one. We've
Too
been
long,
lazy,
yeah.
but a break well needed. Today we have a special guest on, the winner of the Kejo giveaway. Jantzen, thanks so much for supporting Kejo. You're wearing the shirt, you're rocking it. That's cool. So he won. He's on the show. He's going to join us today. Jantzen, feel free to just share your story. How'd you find trading, where you're at, and then we'll just hop into trades from there.
yeah, thanks so much, Kyle and Matt, and also thanks to Jack, even though he's not here. But yeah, so my trading journey, I started looking into trading, I think about October 2020 of last year. So I kind of jumped into it when all the bullets were flying, plays were going off, and things were just going crazy. But what really got me into it was when the COVID happened. I'm an elementary school teacher, so um, I had to transfer to remote. A lot of teachers working from home were kind of trying to figure out some sort of side gig to kind of make money. So when we went into COVID, went into the summer, was kind of not really doing much, but then started wondering about like, oh, how can I make money? Started looking into all those things, and then on like social media, Robinhood kept popping up on Facebook, Instagram. Oh, look at this Robinhood app. Look at this, a new app that makes it free. Blah 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 blah. So I looked into it, opened a Robinhood account, put like $100 into it just to kind of feel it out, and I had that feeling where I made like what $10 in like 2 weeks. I just sat there watching it for 2 weeks, and I was like, this is way too slow. So I started like looking into other things, and then of course, kind of like how you folks, Tim's ad shows up through like social media algorithm. So I looked into his thing, saw what was going on. I was like, this guy's a scam. No way this guy has made this much money off of that, turned it into millions. No way. So the first thing that I did was I actually he had like his email thing where you can email his people directly. So I actually emailed Tim's email directly. I was like, I told myself, if this guy responds to me, then I'll kind of know he's legit. And I kid you not, within like 2 hours, I sent him an email saying, um, "Hey, I just saw your ad, something something about if you're, I'm not sure if you're a scam or not, but I really wanted to know if you're real." And then he sends me back, how dare you doubt me? Of course I'm real. So I was at that moment, I was like, okay, he's legit. So let's look into this a little more. So the first thing I bought was Matt, you and Tim's 30-day boot camp.
Oh,
Started off with
awesome.
that, and I cranked. It was 30 days, but I cranked that out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, nice.
Just because it was just so quick, you just went over the basics, and I just was like, all right, let's do this. So I was watching all those bootcamp videos, and then I started talking and started debating if I should join the challenge because that challenge, for my like overall value and money that I have, I wasn't sure if I putting myself into the challenge was worth it.
Mhm.
Um, so I started to debate. I started to like think about it. Jumped into. I was just like, you know what? Uh, I jumped into it because I saw the potential for breaking out of that middle class cycle. So I kind of just put money on it, talked to my family about, hey, could you help spot me some cash so I could join this challenge for a year at least? And I jumped into it and immediately just started watching all the DVDs, all the content I could. it was like a lot of intense studying from October to like December. I was just going full on pedal to the metal, trying to study as much as I can. And yeah, that's kind of where I started. And then I believe my first trade that I took was back when HMBO was TSMP. I took a panic dip buy on it. It was like I got it at 15. Was it not even 50? Was it 15 cents? I think it was 15 cents. Sold it at 15 cents, sold it at 17 cents. And that was the moment where I was like, all right, I'm hooked. I got to keep going. So from there, yeah, I just kept studying. First thing I studied was panic dip buys because Tim was all about it. So I watched all those videos. And throughout my journey, I was slowly like growing my account. I think for the first 8 months, I believe I made like 2 grand. And of course, that's like missing millions of plays just going off throughout the holiday season, watching all these runners go up 1,000 times and just sitting there through all the FOMO and sitting there because I couldn't even trade because my account's so small. So I would use up all my money on just like 1 or 2 trades and that'd be it for the day. And plus, I'm teaching while trying to learn all this stuff at the same time. So I didn't have time to watch the market. Yeah, so first trade was on TSMP, missed a whole bunch of other plays, and then I remember my first ever big loss was ENZC on that first major panic. I tried to panic dip buy it, thinking it would bounce at 20 cents, and then it panicked all the way down to 10 cents. So that one was like a big.
I was there for that. Was it like in May? A couple months ago?
Oh no, this one was like the very first panic, like the big red day on that one. So yeah, I think I got faked out at 20 cents because it bounced 2 green candles and then it just got slammed all the way back down to 10 cents. And I was trying to get out and E-Trade didn't get me out till the bottom. So that 10-cent tick, that was me. But yeah, for the past 8 months, I've been trying to just add different strategies with having Ellis, Art of War being my watch list, comment me feedback. So I've been adding like the consolidation breakouts to my setups. I like how Jack and Matt, they do the first green day reversals off of like 5, 6, 7 red days. Since I kind of think of that one as like a daily panic dip buy, that's kind of how it clicked in my head.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, for the first 8 months, I kind of like was making money. And then there was 1 week in, I believe, March where I was green the entire week. And I was like, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I got it. And then I had a wake up call and got humbled by the market where the 2 grand that I made, I wiped it out within 2 weeks just on 3 bad trades. I got caught in a random liquidation news article for ENZC on the backside, went way too big thinking it would spike again. And yeah, just kind of dipped all the way back under to like I was negative 1,000. So the past 3 months since March has just been me trying to crawl back, climb back, and also just dealing with all those emotions. Because I never had a drastic pullback like that. So that was like my mini blow up, my mini wake up call. Like, hey, like your account's not that big. You can't have this sort of huge withdrawal in your account, because I was stuck into waiting for trades or wasting trades on certain entries and exits. And finally now I was able to get back to break even. And then now I'm kind of perking up a little bit on my profit chart based off of that.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So you're in the learning curve. You're right there. So that's very cool. It's easy for, I think Matt can agree. It's easy for me to say in hindsight, like looking back at my learning curve, how exciting of a time it was. But in the moment, I'm sure you can relate, Jantzen, like it's emotional. You're up, you're down, you're learning so much. And it's like, you don't see the other side. But in hindsight, like me seeing you in your learning curve, like you're in it. Like it's happening. That's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
No, totally awesome. No, I was gonna say, what are you like 9 months, right? I think I did the math right into your journey.
Yeah, pretty much 9-10 months right now. For since I joined the challenge and pretty much started my trading career, because I've never heard of this since October. So
No, that's awesome. And honestly, like you were saying, like I think you're doing all the right things. Like that first like 3 month period, you said you went really like balls to the wall, studied everything you could. I mean, that's what you have to. That's like what I did too. Like, I mean, you flash back, I started 2017, that like summer, that was the summer after my freshman year. Like those 3 months, that was like all I did, like treat it as like a full-time job, try to learn as much as possible. And like, losses, like, don't get me wrong, they suck, they're horrible, no one wants them, but like it's all part of the game. And all things considered, that you're green at all after 9 months, like I think that's honestly like a huge achievement. Because
thank you.
yeah, well, especially when you started like October 2020, like, we were pretty deep into that like crazy market, like you were saying, bullets
Yeah.
are flying everywhere. And it was pretty crazy until February. But I know like personally a lot of friends who like aren't like per se day traders, don't take it seriously, like, and they thought they were on top of the world, they were making all this money all the way up to February because everything was going up. And then like March, April, June, July, like they were pretty tough months for like a lot of these like, meme stocks and like all these like social plays and like stuff that went to the moon, like all started
Yeah.
crashing. And the fact that you like just manage your risk well, and yeah, you had some losses in there, it's all part of the learning curve. Everyone takes losses. And now that you're green, like, you're doing right. Clearly your risk, your risk management is relatively well. And like, I took big losses for a long time. Like that was like the last hurdle for me after like 2 years of like being like, oh, like I'm green for like a week or two, and then like one loss just wipes it out. And then eventually I just got sick
Yeah.
of it and I finally figured it out. But no, man, that's awesome. Super cool to see. And yeah,
Thank
just
you.
like keep it up, dude.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's yeah, having those words of encouragement from you guys and just kind of putting things into perspective where, hey, like this early in the journey, it's just good to be green and just stay green. So after that first dip, my mindset on my losses now has just been I need to protect what I've got, because having such a huge setback at under the 25,000 or using a cash account, it's just you start to the progress is a lot slower because you're worried about making sure you pick the right play. And if you don't pick the right entry, then you're like kind of second guessing yourself on should I exit or is this money just going to go to waste? So yeah, my mindset switched to like I'll take any loss under 200 bucks. If that's it, like that's my max loss, I'm just going to cut it no matter what.
Yeah. So before we jump in the charts, I want to ask you this question for like viewers who either have a job or maybe are even like a teacher like you. How have you managed it? Because obviously COVID changed things a lot. But like for terms of time zone, when you started working, what hours were you able to watch the market and then study afterwards? Like how did you juggle all that? Because I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that, and you're someone who's clearly been able to at least make it work somewhat.
Yeah. So before I just moved back to Hawaii, so it's a little different now. But when I was living in Oregon, the market for Oregon opens up, I believe, at 6:30-ish. So while working from home, it was easy because I had a little dual monitor set up. So for the first hour, I could watch the market, and then after that hour, I would have to then shut off the market and then focus directly on teaching. Just because there were a couple times where I saw potential plays and trying to teach and watch the stock market at the same time just didn't work out psychologically and emotionally.
For sure.
And I know that there was these other two guys that you brought into Twist, where one of them's also a teacher and he was doing that. He was talking about doing it at the same time, and maybe that works for him. But when you're trying to teach first graders how to learn on a computer and then trying to do two things, trying to do the market, it just didn't work out. So for me, I just had to, it was the first hour of the market. I would watch it. If I could take a morning panic, or if I could take some sort of morning dip buy, little bounce, I would take it. And then after that, I just didn't feel comfortable, because for me, if I'm going to hold a position all day and try to ride it, I need to be able to at least watch it and be ready to cut it if I have to. So I'd wake up at like 5:30-ish, open up the market, review my watch list, and then watch it from like 6:30 to 7:30, and then turn it off after that. And then when we went back to in person, it was kind of the same thing where I would actually get to school early and trade the hour before the students even got there. And then again, just that first hour, trade, see if I can catch anything. If not, then turn it off. I'll check back at it during my lunch break to see if there is some sort of like ABCD chart holding up where I could catch a dip down to support, use that as my risk, and then have it spike. But yeah, that was my schedule while working as a teacher. And yeah, Hawaii's a little different now because the time zone sucks, but
Right.
Yeah, what's it open? Is it 3:30?
yeah.
Crazy.
So that schedule is even worse than West Coast, yeah, because I go to for here, I have to go to sleep at like 8:30 at the latest, because if that 3 o'clock, I try to wake up at 2:50, 3 o'clock, and by then the market's already 30 minutes away, so it's like you don't have like an hour to prepare. It's like you better make sure your watch list is ready the day before. That way you can just review it and kind of make your decisions in the morning. And yeah, my body and my brain is still adjusting to this schedule, because yeah, it takes a toll, especially if I go to sleep like an hour late. Then it's like the morning is even worse.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I love it though. Not to sound too much like Bowen, but like what you're doing that most people aren't willing to do is like they're model their schedule like around trading, and they like make it work. Like for you, when you were in Oregon, it was like that first hour of the day, that's what I got, like that's when I'm in trade. And now, like, you know, there's a lot of people out there, it's crazy to me, but there's a lot of people out there who won't even wake up at 3 to like trade the market at 3:30 a.m. But
Yeah,
you know, like that's what works for you, and then you can go to teaching the rest of the day. So like, which is also another good thing too. And like, I don't know why people have this conception, but it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job to be trading. It's like, well, like you're not making money. Like to me, that's just like so dumb. And like for me, like I still have a job, even though I've made money. Like it's just weird. Like, yeah, I don't know,
it
man.
helps.
Yeah,
I realize it helps a lot with just the emotional battle that you face while trading, because granted, if you are very profitable and you have your system, then you can start to have that debate with yourself. Do I need a job? But for any newbie that starts off 1, 2, 3 years in, I would not recommend quitting your job, because having that added pressure of I need to make money. If I don't make money, I can't pay the bills. That just skews your thought process, and your emotions are just going to be completely out of whack. And thankfully, yeah, I had the teaching job throughout my first year, so I took that first year as like, hey, I'm just going to learn. I'm probably not going to make anything, which I didn't. And now that I moved back home, so I'm working part-time now, so I still have that steady income coming in, and that kind of helps me take the trades much more objectively than emotionally.
absolutely. Which is super key. Super key. So
Yeah.
I love it.
I can only imagine when you said you have to shut your screens off after the first hour, like school starts and like little Jimmy has like a math question. You're like, shut up, Jimmy. I'm trying to it's like, oh,
I tried it like once or twice, and it was I lost money in both times. So after that, I was like, nope, I just couldn't do it, and I felt bad because I'm supposed to be teaching the kids. You know, I'm not supposed to be doing this at this time. So yeah, that saved me money, just cutting that out, just shutting it off, and saying, hey, I didn't see the play spike, so I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I was teaching.
Right.
Absolutely. No, it's good cutting out the FOMO too, right? I mean, that's something I still struggle with. Like I'm trying right now to only really trade the first hour because the market is like slower and that's when the plays are. But like it still kills me. I'll walk back midday and just like glance at it. I'm like, gosh, like if I just was like would have looked, but yeah.
I think anyone who started in this 2020 market and didn't make much, I think that really helped me control my FOMO, because it's just like it was kind of just like repetition and getting numb to the fact that there's going to be spikers all the time. You're going to miss so many of them. And I missed 99% of them during 2020 to 2021. So seeing that FOMO is like, now it's kind of like, I missed it. There's going to be another one. So I think that's really helped me a lot too.
I like that perspective. Yeah, that's totally different. And like I started during the hot market of 2017, same sort of thing. And what like when you're talking, like remind me of like Roland, and what Roland is like notoriously good at is when the market's hot, like 2020 or 2017, like he'll just make a ton of money and then he just vanishes like when it's slow. Like
yeah, like
this ability to just like not trade. And I'm like, you're like, there is a play every day if you want to sit there and find it. Like there is a play every day, I'm not gonna lie. But like he just focuses on those super hot times, and then the rest of the time he just has the discipline to just like not waste his money basically.
Yeah. And then you'll see him be like, oh, I just took this one trade and then in like the past 2 weeks, made like 5K on it. Okay, Roland, cool.
Exactly. He sits like 20 feet away from me in the office too. And like, I'm like, what? Like he just shows up. There. He shows up every single day and he doesn't take a trade. I'm like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, that's discipline right there.
It really is. All right, Kyle, is it chart time?
Let's do it. Let's boot them up. All right, let me, this work? There you go, cool. I'll start us off with NLST. This was my biggest potential winner of the day, but I royally screwed it up. Did make money, but I left so much on the table. So daily chart wise, I mean, this thing has been running from $2 all the way up to 10 at its highs. Did make money on it this huge red day, but unfortunately lost a lot of money on the smaller red day here. So I think I'm like, between the entire run up, maybe up or down 10 grand or so, like nothing, fortunately not a great profitable runner for me, just how tough it's been. And going into today, they actually posted earnings over yesterday and after hours, I believe. And they had a conference call today. And so I wasn't listening into the conference call, but I wanted to see how the price action would play out during the call, just to see how things would play out. And if nothing was said, or if people expected something great from the call and nothing happens, like a sell-off usually will take place. And that's definitely what happened. And I kind of nailed the entry. The entry was really nice. I got short in this little perk here, like right up in here. I got short and I was going to risk this bounce high at 850. Had like an 825 average. And then we just, in the next 5 minutes, you can see here, we just collapse. I cover a fourth down in here. But unfortunately, I remember when I saw this panic happen, I immediately remembered last week with this panic right here, where I did something similar, not with like a conference call, but just I got short out the open, and within the first hour, it sold off to the like low to mid sevens. Didn't cover nearly as much as I wanted, and then it bounced back the rest of the day and was just a complete pain in the ass. So when we're panicking down here, this support level, I'm thinking, like, you need to cover more, like this thing always bounces. When it bounces, it's not fun to be in, like cover, so I covered a fourth. And then as it starts bouncing, I immediately regret not covering half, if not all of it. And we bounced straight to 8. I then decided to risk 8 after it tops out here. We then squeeze over 8. I cut the rest for practically break even. So pretty much my only profit was from this partial cover down here. And down here, I was up like 9K, but I only covered a 4. So I made like 2,300-ish. The rest of my coverage here, maybe like, as I said, break even to like a couple $100. So only made like 26, not only made $2,600, but from the potential of what I should have made and could have made if I just listened to myself and covered more, if not all of it, to then fighting this bounce, which I knew it was going to happen, seeing this thing bounce back a dozen times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that was frustrating. It's a good problem to have to be green on a trade that didn't work. But it is frustrating that, I told myself something and I didn't fully listen, and that cost me like 6 or 7K. So it is what it is. Good lesson. And going forward, NLST has just been such a pain in the ass. I likely will not trade it ever again. I'm over it. Give us another runner. So.
Right. Dude, call me crazy. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like the market in general right now, across the board, both longs and shorts, the follow through is non-existent. Like the downside to the upside, you get that initial move, and then like what should be a second, third, fourth leg down, or fourth, third leg up, whatever, like it's just not there. Like you just get the initial move and then it just continues to chop around. And That's tough. It's just tough to trade. And honestly, that's why I like Bryce Toohey. I'm sure people watching this have seen Bryce Toohey in his stupid ass robe. But he's so proud of it. He's so proud of it. It's funny. It's funny. And he's got the pit vipers too, but he's something special.
His segment at the conference is going to be hilarious.
Hilarious. He's truly one of a kind. But like that's why he's excelling, is like, because even like during the last run, like he made good money, don't get me wrong, but like he would just nail that first move and like that's his play, and then he just like is done. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's still just nailing that first move and then he's just done. And he's not like looking for the follow through. He never has looked for the follow through. And it's like rewarding him right now because that's what's working. And there's nothing wrong with what any of us are doing or what he's doing. It's just the market's cyclical. And right now he's just like really on point. And he's like, I think he just crossed 800K too, which is awesome. So
yeah, congrats to him.
Yeah, congrats to that guy. But yeah, that was my comment. OTCs are tough too, even DRNG, which we can go over. This one's tough too. The breakout, yeah, like it was a textbook breakout, but it really just couldn't go more than like a day and a half, basically.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, but as you say that, Matt, like there's no follow through. I'm looking at the RNG. I'm like, yeah, there was no follow through. You know, yeah, we had a second kind of day after the breakout that was kind of lame, but then clearly today, yeah, like what breakout? Got crushed today. So I think Jantzen, you had a trade on this that you want to go over, right? If you want to,
yeah.
Go
so DRNG is my new personal best trade so far. I think after all the OTC commissions, I made around 1,300 on it. But I actually was thank you. I actually was watching it as I was watching this for like 2 weeks straight, just watching it grind up, making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. I didn't actually execute this the best. I got faked out on one of those previous red days. So yeah, if you go to like the intraday chart, you can, yeah. I actually got faked out on one of these middle days, like on the 26th or 25th, somewhere in there. I got faked out on like a morning push to the past the 7 area. So I thought that was gonna be the day because it was just consolidating for like 5-6 days so far. So I went in around I went in like 500,000 at 7 too early, and it just kept going sideways. So my entry was completely horrible, completely trash. But the reason why I didn't cut it was because it was just making higher lows every single day. So as it kept making those higher lows, I was just watching it. And then finally on that Friday, I didn't really add anything to my position until I got that confirmation where it touched when it got to the 8 area. So after that got to that 8 area, I added the other 500,000 around 7.4 on a dip under that, and then I sold my shares into that afternoon. I showed the last couple of my shares into like the push into the afternoon, just because emotionally I was okay, knowing that I didn't execute it my best scared me out of any sort of profits after that. I was just like, you know what, the daily chart was in my favor, which is why I held, but I didn't execute it. So I'm just gonna sell all my shares here into this run up because I'm done with it emotionally. I just didn't want to have to worry about it anymore. But so yeah, new record trade, not the best executed, but I love this pattern where it just consolidates for like 5-6 days, grinds up, and then just waiting for that day, like on a Friday, where it just goes and just runs up like this.
Agreed.
This intraday reminds me of like some of the charts you've gone over, Matt, with some Nasdaqs. You know, like they have initial spike and then just overwrite like 4 or 5, maybe 10 days max. They kind of, I only see this pattern if I look at like a multi-day intraday chart like this, where I can kind of see it in between all the days intraday, just trending, and before you know it, it's like at some point it's not going down, so there's only one more direction left, and like that's up, and it starts going. So
exactly. Because like if you pull up like a 6 month again of like the daily, it like doesn't look that great. It really doesn't. It looks choppy. There's a lot of wicks. It's just
Right.
like this weird trend up. Like that's not my favorite chart. But then you pull up that intro, like the 1 month, 15 minute, even if you want to go there. Yeah, 1 month, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like that looks great. That looks awesome. So it's really important. We actually call this is Dom Maestro Mateo term, the intradaily, because the mix of intraday and daily. So the intradaily, but yeah, like this is gorgeous. And this is exactly what you're looking for on a breakout, whether it's OTC or NASDAQ, it doesn't really matter because it's the same exact pattern. Just over 3, 4, 5, 10 days, you just get these higher lows, and there's that key resistance level and just higher low, higher low. Like Kyle just said, like there's only one way for it to go at that point. And yeah, I love these type of trades. I was actually in this, but yeah, similar to you. I ended up selling, I think at like 8.8. I like totally, for whatever reason, sold super early.
Yeah.
But is what it is. Still a solid.
You're where did you end up selling, Jantzen? Like price wise?
I was piecing out into it. So I sold most of it near the 8, and then my best sell was like 200,000 at like 9.6, something
Nice.
like that.
Gotcha. Because mine was, so my gift and my curse of going long is that I usually wait till it's too late. But the ones that work really work, and the ones that don't, I usually take losses on it. So like the fact that you guys, it just made me think of this, because when Matt was like, yeah, I was all out by 8.8. And then I want to know where you sold, because I didn't enter till like 0.009. I got long at 0.009. Took a million shares overnight because I knew I was not chasing, but I knew I had a much higher average. And then into the close, I was like, oh, well, a 108 close, like I'm already up 1,800. This is great. And then of course the next day, it panicked. So I sold for like a scratch profit. But luckily, in many other cases, sometimes I'll have an average too high. So then when I do have to sell in the morning, it is a loss. Luckily, I had a low enough average where it closed. But just in previous markets, like I could buy the closing price, and the next day it would gap up and spike, and like you're rewarded in those markets. In this market, like I definitely have either taken smaller size, or have just not added higher, because I'm like, you know what, I need to keep somewhat of a relatively low average, because the odds of it going again, or the odds of me having to sell this and hopefully sell it for a profit, even if it doesn't work, like my average has to be lower. That's what I've been doing. But yeah, so it's just funny, like I bought your guys' cells, and but it looks so bad in hindsight, but I made money, so I'll take it.
It's awesome. Have you seen, I saw a chart the other day. The trading volume right now is 28% of what it was in February. Do you know that? So
like across the whole market?
Across the whole market. It's 28% of what it was.
Did you like put that in the chat? I saw that fly through with the chat, I think.
Yeah, because I thought it was crazy. And I think that's why too, there's just no follow through, and it's just choppy. It's like the volume is very low. So I think that's
fraction of the buyers that we once had. So
yeah, no, that chart is nuts. I forget where I saw it. It must have been on Twitter somewhere, but that's crazy. Now, granted, February was like record volume, like ever.
Oh yeah.
So, but like that's just such a decrease. But that's probably why like these OTCs aren't gapping, and like there's no follow through. And like you mentioned, like I've seen Matt do this on NASDAQ. Yeah, when there's multi-day runners, but like the last time we've had like a really clean NASDAQ multi-day breakout, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't exist right now. It's so weird. Like
it's only, oh sorry.
No, you're good. Like I was gonna say, like the only breakout like comes to mind in recent like month is AHPI, which Bryce has been nailing, and that one's just weird. Like I don't like that chart at all, but it worked.
It has like 3 huge green candles,
exactly,
and like a bunch of little red ones in between them.
Yeah, it's not super clean. Which why if you could pull up Neuro, NURO, I want to talk about this one.
Oh, the low floater of the month.
The low floater, huge multi-day runner. And this is like the strategy I've been focusing on, is like this first green day. And granted, the first green days haven't been super great, but like you get that initial move at least, which is what I've been trying to nail. Crazy, absolute insane run. And now it's been red for like, I don't even know, like 10 days. But what ends up happening is like the risk becomes so low on these if you're patient enough, because like eventually it's the same way with like a panic. Like eventually like it's just like they slow down and like base out, and like they can't go any lower. And that's basically what we saw yesterday. Like you could see that base forming if you zoom in, like, and the moment this morning it was gapping up, not huge, but gapped up like 15-20 cents. And I was like, oh, like maybe we're finally reversing. And I basically bought right out of the gate because I was like, worst case, I can risk the previous close. So I'm risking like 40 cents a share. Not even, I don't even know, it's less than that. It's like 25 cents a
20,
share.
yeah, 20, 30 cents.
So I bought right out of the gate and we got that morning spike. And I did not do a very good job at selling this. I actually ended up selling like at like 14, like after the spike and pullback and all that crap. Because I got greedy and I was like, this is going to 20. Because if you look at the chart, it looks like it has room to 20. But yeah. I was looking for a big move. It got super greedy. And then it pulled back. And then I had this weird midday spike back to 16. And this is just the weird midday action we've been seeing. Another one that did this was BTX today. I was looking for this one. This one's more of like a bounce breakout. It's kind of weird, but I like the daily chart on it a lot. But it had this weird midday grind back on like no volume. But if you look at like a 6 month, this was a former runner. It has like literally no bounce, but now for the last like 2 weeks has been basing really nicely. And like, it's like trying to break out. And when it does break out, there's room on this like to $20. So, you know, I'm basically watching this for a breakout. The volume just sucks on that, unfortunately. But these are the trades I've been trading personally because I find that they are much, much lower risk. And that's just kind of what I'm looking for right now. Just the super low risk trades, try to get that morning spike action, and then move on. And we've had so many random low float runners the last like month or two. Like,
Yeah.
they're insane moves, but like they're like if you're a disciplined good trader, like they're just not realistic moves for you to catch. Like those are moves that like newbie traders catch, which is fine. Good for you. You were blissfully ignorant enough to chase this low float and you made money on it. Like I'm not, you made
That's
money.
me.
Like,
That was me. I'll
What'd
be
you do?
honest. I
What'd
got
you do?
lucky. I got lucky on NAOV.
NAOV. On the day the breaking news came out.
I don't know what it was. It was the day it had like 20 million halts on it.
Yeah, I think that they dropped. Yeah, I remember that day.
So on on this one, yeah, it was at midday it started spike. Yeah, this very first day. So what happened was I saw it spiking, and the fact that like Mirren was going, all these low floaters were just going crazy throughout July. I was just like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of just missing a low float spiker. I just took a shot like a newbie. I didn't even take it when it first spiked. I took it after the first halt at 120, I believe.
Yeah.
So the reason why I took it was because, as Matt always says, what thought process would make a short start to panic, right?
Yeah.
So after it reopened after the first halt, and it dropped back down to the halt price at 120, it just stayed there at 120 for like 8-10 minutes. And I saw it kind of curling back up. So I was like, you know what? I'll use 120 as my risk. I just went 2,000 shares into 120. I got in at like 125, and it didn't even touch my risk after that. It was just shorts all panicking out front side, and it was like halt after halt after halt after halt after halt, and I just kept selling like pieces into all the up sales. I think my best sell was like $2.50.
That's nice.
But
I don't think you gave yourself enough credit here. I don't think that was much of a newbie chase. You just outlined a pretty good trading plan.
Okay. Well, the FOMO pulled me in on this one, but
Okay.
I went in knowing like, okay, if it does break 120, I need to get out as quick as possible.
True.
So I didn't go in just like I'm just gonna take a shot. It was like I paused for a second. I was like, okay, 120 is my risk. Let's just go 2K shares, real small, and see what happens, because all these low floaters were just going crazy, and I guess studying and being there when the opportunities makes you a little more luckier when you decide to kind of process it out and think about it. But yeah, I was so scared. That's why I just kept piecing like so many shares into all those halts. But
that's nice.
I'm a newbie that got lucky.
I like it. That trade
was
well thought out.
Yeah, it was a smart newbie move though, because like you said, like I mean that's a perfect example of like for a long bias trader, like where are shorts in trouble? Any short who shorted that move and then it halted at that 120 price and it couldn't get below it, like.
Yeah,
I was a short seller. You can speak to it. Like I would not want to be short that anymore.
Oh,
the perfect
no.
long.
I don't understand why shorts still short front side on any of these low floaters.
I don't
I
either.
just hear not here, but I can see on Twitter so many horror stories of people
Right.
just losing so much.
They're not the smart ones, that's for sure. I don't really know any profitable short sellers that short the front side. But everyone likes to do it for whatever reason.
Even low floats in general, the longer I've traded, the more and more I just like, oh, it's below like 5 million like float. I'm just like, no, I'm good. Like I don't need it. You know, like it's just not.
Let me wait
It's not.
7 days until I know it's like the red.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why people like to do that.
Matt, do you want to go over your crypto trade or do you want to close it out?
Sure, let's talk about it. What we're looking at here. I'll be quick for anyone not interested in crypto, even though you kind of should be, in my opinion. There's one I like. It's about time. Bitcoin. We'll start with the Bitcoin chart since you got it up. Broke out of this crappy downtrend. It's been in this crappy downtrend for like 2 months. It's been super annoying, and it's making trading crypto pretty hard. Now, the diamond hand people like Kyle don't really care because they don't look at it. But for me, I'm looking for a trade, and it's just tough when it's just in this what was death spiral. Anyway, some news came out which was totally fraudulent. This person probably going to jail about Amazon. He just like fabricated a story that Amazon was accepting Bitcoin, which isn't true. At least they denied the rumors for now. But anyways, started this huge short squeeze. Since then, been pulling back, which is totally fine. It's under 40K. I expect, I probably pulls back to like 35K because that's really like a key level of support. That's fine. I don't really care as long as it doesn't go below the 30K level. But if it does break out over those highs, like I do think that's the next leg of the bull run. What line is that? Is that like the 200-day moving average or something?
This is I think it's a 21 week maybe. I think it's 21 week moving average. Some 20. I forget why I put it there or why it is because I don't really use them. For some reason, I know it's 21 something. I don't know if it's 21 days or not, but something like that.
Okay. But anyways, above that line, which is basically also now pretty close to lining up with a break above like 42, like full on bull run again, as far as I'm concerned. And it's going to be pretty crazy. Anyways, but because of that, SOL, S-O-L, is a crypto I'm watching. It's one of the stronger ones, really hasn't pulled back a ton, and is like pretty bullish chart. Yeah, that's fine. You can see there's this like downtrend, and it's kind of broken out of the downtrend. It's back above that line, which is a pretty sweet line. I might have to add to all my charts because clearly it's been support a couple of times. But yeah, breaking out of the downtrend, I took some shares, some coins of it, roughly at 35, basically risking those previous lows, because I do think as long as the market stays strong, this probably breaks out and continues back to new highs, 50 plus. So we'll see what happens. It's pretty low risk trade, and it's the best setup I've seen in like 2 months. So hopefully we see a lot more now that we're out of that crap death spiral. But that's pretty much what I'm watching. Just thought I'd update everyone on my crypto journeys for all the degens out there. I got you.
That's I want to make one. I want to do this quick because I don't want to. I go on forever. But I like what Matt said about the news behind Amazon potentially. The whole completely made up news, and then it got shut down pretty quickly. Which for me, it doesn't even matter whether it is true or not. What I love about it is that even though it was completely fabricated and false, we're holding. Like that's that crazy. Just shows like I think everyone got reminded of how strong Bitcoin can be if a company actually will accept. Because like there will be another company. I'm not sure when, I'm not sure where, I'm not sure which company it will be, but a big blue chip company will come out in a year, 2 years, whatever, be like, we're gonna accept Bitcoin. And like this is just a reminder of like what happens in that kind of market environment. So I think it's pretty cool. And I agree with everything Matt said. Like once we kind of get over this 42 to 45 range, then it's off to the races. So we'll see where it goes in the next few months.
Holy. All right, closing questions, Kyle. You got any?
Mine was the teaching one. If Jantzen, if you have any questions for us, I'm sure if you have some, go ahead and shoot for it as well.
Yeah, I do. Matt kind of touched upon this earlier, but Matt, in the beginning of your journey, Matt said that his taking those bigger losses was like his last hurdle that got him like over the PDT and to be a real profitable and consistent trader. So yeah, what was like your main psychological obstacle that you had to battle, and how did you like manage that and overcome it? Because right now for me, I think my psychological battle is as a newbie, I just want to be right on my plays, or so it kind of keeps me hesitant from taking certain entries, and then kind of now I'm in that psychological battle where if my entry's not good, it's like, oh, no, I don't want to I don't want to take it out now. So like, what was your own personal psychological battle that you faced while like starting off your journey?
Kyle, you start this. I got one to add too after you.
I would say I deal with that a little bit, like wanting to be right and so forth. For me, I cared about money too much. Like I know it's not good to like trade your P&L or trade your money. Like you want to trade objectively in the chart, but part of me in the beginning, I just knew like if the chart wasn't going my way, like I didn't want to lose anymore. You know, like forget if I was right or wrong. Like I just couldn't, like you said earlier, Jantzen, like just hunkering down and keeping what you have. During my learning curve, that was like such a huge thing because I just could not afford to blow up and go out like count go to zero or let the money I had go to zero. So it was like, I need to get out. Like forget, like the ego didn't matter anymore. It was like, I need to keep whatever I've got. That and in some cases, even now, 5 years later, that definitely leaves me very timid still in many cases. But for the same reason why I'm not a short seller that blows up on the front side. Like I also stay safe in many other areas of trading. So it's a trade-off, but it's a good trade-off to take, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just building on the right thing, right? Because that was definitely my hurdle, and also the reason why I like took the bigger losses, because like I wanted to be right in the trade. There's a couple things I did for that. Like first off, I just had like a simple post-it note, which was super helpful. I slapped it on my monitor, and it just said like, smart people like don't want to be wrong or something like that. It was just a saying, right? Because like growing up, like little self brag, I'm not trying to brag, just set the stage. Like I was a smart kid, I was good in school, like I was right often, and because of that, like accepting to be wrong is difficult. And in trading, like you have to be wrong. Like the best traders, you're wrong 50% of the time. Like I hate to break the news to you, your win rate's gonna be like 50-60%. Like you're just gonna be wrong. So for me, trying to make that mindset shift of what is right and what is wrong is huge for me. So like going along Kyle's point, like, yeah, we're all in this game at the end of the day to make money, but you have to not be right or wrong on like if you made money or didn't make money that day. It's more like, are you right or wrong for your trading plan, whatever that is. And the money just becomes byproduct. So whatever dollar amount like you don't care about, and that's gonna be different for every person, and it grows as you grow as a trader. But like you just pick that amount, because then you're taking that emotion out of the equation, and then you can just become right or wrong for your trading plan. So whether that's cutting a loss, like if you're like, I want to cut a loss at $1 and you cut your loss at $1, you're still right, because like you followed your trading plan and you were right in that sense. So just tweaking what is right and what is wrong in your mind. And the easiest way to do it, like I said, is to pick a dollar amount you just simply don't care about. And yeah, you're not going to make money, and it might suck for a year or whatever, however long it takes you to really just get that habit down. Like this is a marathon, right? So if you're watching this, you want to be rich next week, like just in the wrong place. So like, but it's going to be so beneficial for like year 2, year 3, year 4, for the rest of your life. If you can just like make that shift. And then it also helps you like grow as a trader, because then you can start sizing up, and you're like, all I really care about is if my trading plan is right or if I'm wrong. And like, your trading plan can be wrong. That's fine, but you can still be right if you like just cut the loss at like where you weren't trying to cut the loss. And that was huge for me. And that's how I was able to really kind of get away from those big losses, because no longer was it, did I make money? It was like, did I follow my trading plan?
Got it. Yeah, I think that definitely would help me and a lot of other newbies, because I whenever I'm in the trade, I probably glance at the P&L 20, 30 times within 2 minutes about how much I'm up or how much I'm down.
Totally. As it like, it's weird. Like this is a weird profession, a weird industry. Like you're literally just like using your money to make more money. And that's scary for a lot of people, because like, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's risky. So I'm going to go back to Bryce Toohey, but like he like literally last August, and I thought he was crazy at the time. I wasn't crazy profitable, but like he was like, I'm using $2 risk. And I was like, dude, like what's the point of using $2 risk? Like you're never gonna like make any money or blah blah blah. And like for him, like for everyone, they should take away from it. It's not about the money for him. He was trying to prove to himself he could like follow his trading plan with just risking $2 a trade. And then, in those 12 months since then, he literally just passed $800,000 like yesterday. Not that that's you or whoever's watching, listening to this, your journey might be totally different, but he instilled those really good habits at like a really early stage or like a really critical stage in his journey. And it's paid him huge dividends since then.
Oh yeah, of course. One last question. As the OTC market has kind of cooled down lately, I've started to try and understand and watch listed a little more. But as the charts are not as clean, I'm having trouble kind of reading them. So is there like one key point that kind of clicked with you that kind of made listed stocks make sense? I know the one of them was like you try to have the short mindset for a long position. But is there any others, like when you're looking at a chart, are there any other hints that kind of helped you understand a listed?
Yeah, I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to put Kyle on the spot because this was his 2019 speech at the Trader Investor Summit. That was a huge part of it, was shifting from OTCs. But for me, like my first profitable pattern was, well, first two basically, I don't know which one really came first, was the dip buy and like the OTC swizzle into the afternoon. So like I tried to take those exact same patterns and apply them to listed. Dip buys don't really work great in listed. Like there are opportunities out there on the very rare occasion, but they just don't work as well. And that's just an underlying like of how the markets work. So then I was like, okay, so I know an OT swizzle. Like for those of you who don't know what that is, like morning spike, sideways all day, really tight range, and then afternoon breakout, which pretty much translated into how I started trading NASDAQ stocks. I remember it very distinctly. It was at the 2019 Trader and Investor Summit. Dom, Maestro Mateo, and we invented the Lizzle, which is like the listed version of the OTC swizzle. And there's stocks out there that do it. I don't really trade it because it's morphed for me, but the same concept is the same pattern works. You get a morning spike, a really tight range, and then an afternoon run. And the stocks that do that usually have higher floats because NASDAQ's like, they're choppier, they're wild. But if you get a high enough float stock, it'll get in that tight range for you. And then you can trade it that way. For me, then you mentioned like earlier in this episode, like ABCD pattern, that's kind of like what it's morphed for me as well. And definitely the biggest thing for me to make sure those patterns work in listed land is just changing your risk size because it is a much, much choppier market. In the OTCs, for me, it's very clear. Like this is the level. Like if it breaks this level, I want nothing to do with the stock. I want to get out as soon as possible. It's super clear. Where NASDAQ, since it's so much choppier, there's a lot of levels you can play off of. So trying to figure out like what the most significant levels you can risk on, which typically are like low a day or like the lowest pullback or something like that, it's going to make your risk wider, right? And like that sucks because then you can't buy as many shares. But that's really going to increase your chance of winning. And like if you can get that down, like the first green day, for example, I pretty much always risk low a day on those morning spikes because I find that's the most significant level. But if you can like are trading ABCD and you risk the lowest pullback and then you start getting that down, for me, then what I did was like, okay, like how can I just add to this so I can move my risk up and have like bigger winners and bigger trades? And that was from like adding on dips and then like strategically trying to figure out like which of those lows matters the most. And if a stock's running really well in a hot market, you can pretty much risk the last low, but that doesn't work all the time. But when the time's right, you can size up very, very aggressively and get like a very large number of shares and have like $100 risk or less. And that's pretty much what I did all of last year, trading those ABCD patterns. Whereas now I don't size in as aggressively because like the follow through is not there. It's not as good. So I'll take the smaller share size risk, like what I can determine to be the most significant level. And then I'm just comfortable in the trade because maybe it's a little wider away. I'm not shaken out by any weird choppy or pullback, whatever it might be. And I'm willing to let it ride as high as it can go, even if that's not crazy super high. I just know the odds of winning. I'm like putting myself in the best possible chance to like have a winning trade.
Cool.
Kyle, mic over to you, sir.
Yeah, the first 3 years from 2016 to 2019, only list, or not, I wouldn't say only OTC. I would say like 90 to 95% was only OTC. I mean, I dabbled in listed here and there, and maybe I was break even to maybe a little bit of green. Certainly read on listed in the beginning, but it just first 100K in profits was majority OTC. This market right now extremely reminds me of that 2019 market, because we had a hot, nice run from like February to March. And then from practically, and everything stayed kind of not hot, but not slow for next 3 months. But then from like August to probably November, I mean, just dead. The slowest OTC market I have probably ever seen and probably ever will see. I don't know if we'll ever get that slow again, but it certainly the 2 first days of August have kind of given me eerie feelings of the same.
It was bad back then. It was bad. Yeah. I remember it.
There were like sometimes days I just wouldn't even take it. Sometimes weeks. Sometimes I'd force a trade because I felt like I needed to do something. That really forced me to then learn, not learn, but really focus and put my attention on listed. And for the same reason, or the same way that Matt said, okay, I'll go from the OTC swizzle to the lizzle. I did the same thing of like, I knew first red days worked on listed. And I knew first red days from OTC. So I kind of transitioned into just the same setup, but in a different market, and then just learned the different indicators, the different kinks, the different characteristics about that same setup, but just in the different market. And it wasn't quick. It wasn't easy. I would say what really got me going to get consistent in that was just practice, just screen time. Like it is so much more choppier. The tape is so much more faster. And for probably a year, from like mid 2019 to probably early 2020, it's not a full year, but like half a year. I remember feeling just so out of it. Like, I don't know how to read this. I don't know how to read this level 2. This tape makes no sense. But enough hours watching it. I mean, it wasn't like an immediate click, but it was like over a short, it was, 6 to 8 months of like me not getting it. And then over a short, like 3-month period, it was like, okay, I'm actually starting to read this really, really clear. And this is right when COVID happened. So like right when COVID hit, all these COVID listed runners started going in March 2020 up to like May or June. I mean, majority of my trades were listed at that point, because that's when I really started to get a feel for it. And since then till now, I feel very comfortable with a lot of listed like tape and level 2 reading. And it just screen time, it just takes a lot of time, and it almost becomes subconscious in a way. Like sometimes I don't even know why I feel a certain way about a stock, but I'll just feel a certain way, and all of a sudden I end up being right. It's like, but it's just so many thousands of hours of watching, price movement and stuff like that. So
yeah. Cool. Thanks.
No problem. Close this out here, Matt.
What was that?
You want to close this out? Any last words?
No, I think this is a really good episode. Really good questions. We didn't cut you off. You don't have any more, do you?
Oh no, those are the main ones I wanted to ask, because I know there's a lot of content other than that I've seen on your videos and all those other places. So
yeah, for sure. Well, awesome having you on. Great story. Honestly,
thank you so much.
Keep up the good work. Are you on Twitter? Like
I am on Twitter, actually.
What's your handle?
My handle is @Shinsane_J.
All right. We'll leave a link to that in the description below so everyone can check it out. Leave them a follow. Leave us a follow as well. And if you're new to this and you enjoyed it, make sure you like, subscribe. Twist, yeah, we were on a break, but we're back. Don't worry. We'll be doing more of these. Check out the other content on StocksToTrade YouTube as well. There's a ton of good content out there. They're really pumping out a lot of videos. So thanks for joining once again, man. And to the viewers,
appreciate it.
We will see you next time.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.